You keep saying the magic.
I truly feel like that's what it is. And maybe that's why it's so hard to describe, because it's this intangible electricity or spark that runs through this place with people who just are passionate about learning and about teaching. We need to have access to great trainings that push us further and help us refine our craft. And we can make that happen here, where teachers in other places meet with red tape and bureaucracy and lack of funding that just doesn't give those options to their students. We're so lucky here that we have this avenue to seek those resources to make that magic happen.
Jennifer Posey-Stockton?
Yes, sir.
What do your kids call you?
Mom.
What do your students call you?
Sometimes. It's an interesting mix of Posey and Stockton. You can sort of tell when they first came into my life by what they call me, because prior to my marriage, I was Posey. So my students that I've had for several years still call me Posey. The students in the middle call me Stockton. And then when you get into the grades where my children are, they call me Posey again. So it's definitely a healthy mix of all of the above. I'm comfortable with both.
Okay. Talk to me about your time here at Westlake. How many years have you been here?
As a teacher, this will be my 5th year, but I've been part of the community for 8 years. My twins started here when they were in kindergarten.
And all subjects that you've taught?
Ooh, that's actually an extensive list too.
Okay.
I started out teaching Algebra 1 and design in 8th grade, and it's sort of morphed and evolved to now I teach economics in the diploma program.
Okay. And when you think about, and one of the things that we're trying to tell the community is the education and the value of the education here at Westlake Academy. But when you think about your time here, what comes to mind that highlights that?
I think it's the family feel, the community. I grew up in a smaller area. I grew up in Maine and went to neighborhood schools, and I knew my teachers and I knew all my classmates, and I really wanted that experience for my children. I didn't want them to get lost in a larger ISD. You know, I've taught in those schools where there's 1,000 kids in an elementary school, and you may never have even seen some of the teachers or some of the other students, and that's not the feel here, and that's really what I wanted for my kids.
Your kids started in kindergarten?
They did,
grade,
yes.
What grade are they in now?
The twins will be in 7th grade,
Okay.
and my youngest will be in 4th grade.
So you're a teacher, you're a parent, a blacksmith grade captain.
Yes.
What makes Westlake Academy special in each of those roles?
Ooh, that's a great question. As a parent, again, I think I've already kind of touched on how special this small setting is for my kids. And in addition to that, from teaching and parent perspective, the IB program and what it prepares our kids for and the way it makes them think and speak and put into action what they're learning is just really special. And you can't get that in other places. And so being able to teach kids those skills and then being able to see my own children grow those skills is just amazing. And a couple of years ago when I joined as the grade level captain for the Blacksmith campaign, that just feels great knowing that I'm part of what makes this place run and what makes it special.
When you think about writing and use IB as an example, you taught in public school setting, and what goes on in the classroom that you can describe as a difference maker for students?
Yeah, I think what stressed me out a little bit about teaching in an ISD is that it was so content and results driven to tests that just test knowledge and recall. And what I think kids that generationally speaking maybe are lacking a little bit overall is critical thinking and the ability to speak well and write well and convey thoughts beyond what the book is telling you. It's great if you can memorize a list of facts and get 100 on a test, but if the test isn't really testing your ability to apply that knowledge, I'm not sure that's going to help you later in life. And IB does that. Our kids are they're great thinkers and speakers and writers, and that's unique because we dedicate the time to growing those skills.
What sets Westlake teachers apart? Can you share a moment that their dedication, think about behind the scenes. What kind of dedication can you share with the listener?
I don't think that there's a moment. I think they're happening constantly. I've worked in other places where there's some great teachers. There's a handful of, experts in their area that are really knowledgeable and phenomenal. Here it's everyone. And we're constantly, in the lounge sharing an idea. And then 3 other teachers jump in and tell you something else that they did that was a little bit different. But then you get all these wonderful ideas to pull from. And having every person you talk to being that expert and that like amazing teacher is just kind of a phenomenal place to be in. And we all share very openly, and we all want to help each other through any kind of challenges we might meet. So it's so special. It's completely different from anywhere else I've ever taught.
Sounds like a team sport.
Yes, exactly. I think family is how I feel about it. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
Even better. How does the IB curriculum show up in the way students think, write, solve problems?
Yeah, this year I led DECA, a new organization, to our campus, and we had a lot of success and brought several students to the state level competition. And I remember at the regional competition, the kids were telling me the judges said we were just so well spoken and so well mannered, and they were so impressed by us. And I don't think our kids even realize how special they truly are in the way that they present themselves to everybody. They're more polished, more accomplished. They can have a conversation and think critically and think on their feet with adults, and they're comfortable in that setting, where not every kid that just is in an ISD setting is going to have those kinds of confidence and that kind of experience with that situation.
Yeah. And what's utilized? How is that brought out of the child or the student?
Well, I think the IB curriculum specifically grows those skills. We've got the learner profile traits and the approaches to learning, skills that we're learning. And we're intentionally teaching and giving them those opportunities in the classroom to handle those kinds of situations, so that when they're faced with them in the real world, it's a natural transition because they're so used to doing it all the time.
That makes sense. I have worked on the Westlake Academy board for a number of years, and so we've participated in giving. So when it's nice to hear as a donor giving and getting,
mm-hmm.
you're talking about the outcomes of these kids' lives.
Yes.
And one of the questions that we have here is, what does a Westlake education prepare students for, not just academically, but as people? And that's what you're describing.
Yeah, I think the soft skills are really what is going to set our students aside from others. Book learning is one thing, but when you can walk into a room and hold a conversation and think on your feet and present yourself in a way that makes you stand out and you're special to everybody else, those soft skills are really what's going to set our students aside.
Is that what you would describe as success for?
I think so. I think learning how to utilize your learning to move yourself forward, right? To accomplish whatever your goal might be, and to know how to approach problems and how to tackle things. And those are the opportunities that I think our curriculum provides that maybe a traditional ISD doesn't have the room to do, or the focus.
We measured success in education historically by participation in college.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the ratio is extremely high. Almost all of the students here go to college. Is that an appropriate measure still?
Yes, it absolutely is. I mean, I think there was one student this year who's taking a gap year, but he was a little bit younger. And what he's doing with his gap year is going to Africa to have these great learning experiences. So it's already planned out. So even though, we may not check that box as a traditional college experience, he's got embracing that lifelong learner trait that we really try to instill in our kiddos, with every intention of going to college the year after. He just wants to take a year, see some of the world, and then make the decision on where to land.
That's certainly a life-changing perspective of travel.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody gets to go places like that, but
I feel like here our students get so many opportunities to do those things. Because I know I was involved in a trip 2 years ago where 10 students went to France for 10 days and did a language immersion program. And I'm taking a group of students to London next year for a business and economics trip. So I think that's also a really unique thing that we offer our kiddos here. And I know the foundation supports students on those endeavors too, when the families can't commit the entire financial contribution. So the foundation's reach is in so many different places that I'm not sure everybody's even aware of.
Do you think that you mentioned a lifelong learner, and think about the model student and what you're instilling, the IB program, instilling this family that you're talking about, that's instilling all these traits into the student. The outcome of the model student, what does that look like?
I don't know. That's such an interesting term, because model student looks different for every kiddo that's here. And that's another part of what I like about here, is that we see the individual kids and grow the whole child, as opposed to looking at just one measure of success. So it's more, what is that child trying to accomplish? How is that student going to grow? And how are they going to meet their full potential? So I think I've got 12 to 15 different models in my head right now when you say model student, because it looks so different for each individual.
How would you compare Westlake Academy to other schools you've taught at, and that your kids attended as a parent? Did you have some kids attended?
No, because they started kindergarten here,
Sure.
But I am a step parent. So I have 2 children that are in the public school system.
Well, think about it in the terms of quality and experience.
Yes.
Compare and contrast those.
Yeah. I think what they're experiencing, it's good. It's solid. It just isn't. I think there's those thinking skills that we've talked about are really lacking, and it's apparent to me. I know they're very smart individuals. They're brilliant, but they're measured on that book smart standard of, can I recall the facts? And I hope for them that they'll encounter some teachers and some classes that specifically draw out those critical thinking and speaking and presentation skills. But I feel like it's more of a luck of the draw for them, as opposed to you're going to find it in every classroom here. I think there's phenomenal teachers everywhere. We just happen to have all the phenomenal teachers. So we're a little bit spoiled in that regard. You've got that opportunity everywhere, instead of just getting the lucky schedule that gets you the really good teacher.
How would you explain the importance of the Blacksmith Annual Fund?
I mean, it's invaluable and huge if you understand the way that charter schools are funded. And I know that's something that they're working to help educate everybody on. Then it's undeniable what the foundation and the Blacksmith campaign does to meet that gap between the funding and what we actually need to make the magic happen here. And I know when I go to trainings with other teachers from around the country, they're talking about how they can't get the training they want, and they can't get the materials that they want to do these amazing things in their classroom. And it's not because they're not trying or they don't want to do that for their kids. They're just not afforded the luxury of doing it because they don't have the support like we do here, where we can have these brilliant ideas and then go to the foundation and say, hey, this is what I want to do. And they make it happen for us and for our kids.
You mentioned this earlier about this community. I said teen, you said family. Describe this secret sauce, the icing on the cake. What does that look like here at Westlake Academy?
You know, I don't know how you put into words what it is. You feel it when you come visit here. You know, I paused this morning getting out of my car and I was watching the cows and I was like, what makes this place? Everything. And I don't know, that's just, we seem to have found the perfect combination of the setting and the support and the care and the people who make it happen, and everybody with the common goal of making this an amazing place for kids to grow and learn just clicks and makes it happen. Just amazing people.
That's good. Can you describe the bond between teachers, students, and the families here?
Yeah, it's incredible. Over the last few years, you know, I've really had the opportunity to meet and get to know and grow with these families. And I recently posted a meme that said, what's really cool about teaching is if you do it long enough, you get to be friends with your students. Mm-hmm. And I feel like here, maybe you don't even have to be around that long to do that, because that's already happened. Like, these families have become part of my life and my friends, and my kids know their teachers and run into them at Barnes & Noble, and it's the best day of their summer. And it's just, it reminds me of the community I grew up in, where my teachers lived in my neighborhood and they were invited to family functions, and you just get brought into the fold, and it's really special to know. And then, you've got the siblings and you've got families that have been here for a very long time, and you're just teaching the last one and you realize the legacy that has come before them. It's just such a special place. And the people really, from students to parents to staff to everybody, is all just so close knit that it's really unique.
Jen, you keep saying the magic. Go deeper on that.
I mean, I truly feel like that's what it is. And maybe that's why it's so hard to describe, because it's this intangible electricity or spark that runs through this place with people who just are passionate about learning and about teaching, students and teachers alike, administrators, everybody. And, that comes at a cost. There are some financial things that have to happen to make that happen. We need to have access to great trainings that push us further and help us refine our craft. And we need resources in the classroom that, we can make that happen here, where teachers in other places meet with red tape and bureaucracy and lack of funding that just doesn't give those options to their students. And we're so lucky here that we have this avenue to seek those resources to make that magic happen. It's
what corporate life would say is the culture.
Yes.
And it's not coming from any one place. It's coming from all sides, if I'm hearing you.
And that's why it's so hard to articulate what it is that makes that happen, because you feel it, you see it, but it's in so many ways that it would be a disservice to isolate any one thing that's making that. It's the complete package.
That's well said, Jen. Thank you. Is there anything I failed to ask you that you'd like to share?
I can't imagine what that would be. I hope I haven't said we're so special too many times, but it really is. It's not a platitude. It's genuine. And when people ask me about the school, I have nothing but amazing things to say about my experience here as a teacher, but also my kids' experience here as students.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.